Hey there. So I have come up with this comprehensive guide for you guys to talk about boot camp because there's usually a lot of questions. And so I've done videos on boot camp before, but with this one, I want to go kind of more in depth and give you like the full picture. This guide that we're using, I actually have it linked in my link tree. You can go into the bio on any of my social media and access it and use it for yourself. All right, so let's talk about the first steps. The first steps to enlistment and departure is going to be MEPS, right? Now, once they go to MEPS, they're going to take their final physical, they're going to sign their enlistment papers or their contract and take their oath of enlistment. Then they're going to have their ship date. Some of them it's going to be right after they do all of that stuff in MEPS, and then some of it is going to be a couple days or a week or whatever after. Now, when they leave to go to boot camp, let's say things like, see you later, I'm super proud of you, and not goodbye. Goodbye is really permanent, and it's not one of my favorite things to say to my son when he's leaving. I usually just stick with the word see you later. For me, it just ends the statement, meaning you will be home and I will see you in a few weeks. What should you wear to boot camp? Men, you should wear a collared shirt tucked into your pants with a belt on, nice, comfortable shoes, comb your hair. Females, put a nice top on. If you something that you can, tuck into your pants, do that. Throw a belt on. If you can't tuck your shirt into your pants, that's fine. But if you have loops on your belt, make sure you put a belt on, and then comfortable shoes, comb your hair back, just make your hair look nice and neat. Okay. I kind of go with the rule of thumb, business casual, because you're making your first impression. And if you come off of that bus looking like a jalopy, then that you just don't need that attention to you. So dress accordingly. All right. What should you bring? Well, let's talk about that because you're going to want to bring a gallon Ziploc bag, right? I like the zipper because they don't break open if you get dropped while you're traveling or whatever. I just like that it stays zippered. Inside that gallon size bag, you're going to want to put your phone and your phone charger. You're going to want to take any documents that your drill or your recruiter tells you to take. You're going to want to take $20 if you're driving and 40 if you're flying. And yes, I know that you get a voucher, but here's what I'm saying. You want to take a little extra money when you're flying because we all know that airlines get delayed, flights get delayed. And if you get stuck in the airport, a $20 voucher, $25 voucher is not going to last you very long if you're there for 5, 6, 7 hours. And it happens. So just a little extra money just to get you through in case that happens. With the bad weather and holidays and honestly just flight delays that happen because of whatever, sometimes we do have police and recruits that are stuck in the airport for a little bit of time. So you also can take a small Bible, one that kind of sits in the palm of your hand, and inside that Bible, or a small book if that's something that you want to bring, you actually can inside that book put some addresses, some kind words of encouragement, and maybe even a note inside of it. And then your sons and daughters can have that while they're in boot camp. That's it for Marine boot camp. You're not going to send anything else. Okay. Now they're going to go either to Paris Island or they're going to go to San Diego. And going to these boot camps is going to be based on where you are on the Mississippi. So if you're to the east of the Mississippi, you are going to go to Paris Island. And if you are on the west of the Mississippi, you're going to go to San Diego for boot camp. I will let you read all of this so you can on your own. But the hyperlinks, I wanted to point out these hyperlinks that we have right here in this guide. Anything that you see that is in blue like that, you can click on and get more information, whether it's a video or just a hyperlink for more information to a website. All right, so what is going to happen when they get to Paris Island or San Diego? They're going to get on the yellow footprint. It's going to be loud and noisy, and they're probably going to be a little scared. And it's okay. I mean, every single Marine has done it. My son's done it. Every single Marine before him has done it. And every single Marine after him has done it. And they've all survived. right? It's scarier to us than it is to them because we are in the unknown, especially if we haven't done it, right? But they're going to get their instructions on, standing at attention. They're going to be told what to do. And it's really their very first introduction to being a Marine. Okay. Then once they get going, at some point, they will make that phone call. And I say that phone call, right? Because it is going to be a very short and quick phone call that you're going to get from your brand new recruit. It's going to be scripted. They cannot come off of the script. It's going to be loud. It's going to be chaotic. And you're going to be listening to this and going, oh my God, what has my kid just gotten into? Right? They cannot answer any questions from you. So don't ask them how they're doing or how their trip was. Just say to them, I love you and I'm proud of you. And then that's it, right? That's it. You're not going to hear from them for 13 weeks, except for letters. Now, if you want to videotape that or record it in some way, you can. My suggestion is that you have your phone ready and have another device ready too, like an iPad or another phone, and just hit record. That's what a lot of parents do. And in some points, don't be afraid. Don't be upset if you don't get the call or you miss it. It happens to the best of us. My son, when we never got the call, we waited up all night long and we never got it. So they are making the calls right now from their own personal phones. So it's been a little bit better as for people getting that call. But if it should happen that the signals aren't great or whatever, and you don't get it, don't be disappointed because it does happen. All right, so 13 weeks is here. How does it work? Paris Island, if you look and see, I have a Paris Island matrix and a San Diego matrix. These are the calendars. If you click on them, they will open up. Make sure you click on the one for the boot camp that your son or daughter's at, Paris Island or San Diego. But it opens up and it's like a calendar. It tells you exactly what they're doing every single day. It's broken down into the phases. And if you don't understand what it is, if you go to the next one where it says PI terms and then SD terms, that is explaining to you exactly what they are doing each day. So the matrix is like a calendar. It shows you every day. You can mark the boxes off. The PI terms or San Diego terms, it just tells you in more depth what they are doing. It's a great tool. All right, official photos. This is a big one I get asked all the time. They will be taken in the first half of boot camp, and your recruit will order the pictures and they will have them at graduation. You will not be able to order those pictures. You'll be able to order more when they come home if you need to, because I can promise you that most of the recruits order a lot of pictures and spend a lot of money on pictures. So don't be shocked either when you hear them say, yes, I ordered pictures. I spent $700, $800. Remember, our kids are mostly 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. They've never ordered pictures like that before. They don't really know what they're ordering, so they've ordered a lot. They also can order, their yearbook. They also can order a ring and things like that, so it can jack the price up. But if you click on this official photo tab right here, you will get a little bit more explanation on that. All right, so let's talk about communication with our recruit at Marine Boot Camp. You are going to be able to write to them. Once you get that SDI letter or the senior drill instructor letter, that will allow you to start writing to them. What you don't want to do is do an emotional dump on them. I miss you so much. Life isn't the same without you. This house is so quiet without you. Don't do those kind of things to them. Just explain to them that you are beyond proud of them. Tell them about sports teams. Tell them about all of the good things that are happening. The dog is getting big. Your niece or nephew took their first steps. We lit the Christmas tree up. We put lights on the house, or we decided to cut the tree down in the backyard. Keep them involved in family life so they are not feeling left out either. They are very busy, so don't be surprised if you don't get a lot of letters back, especially in the beginning and especially towards the end when they are getting ready for the crucible. They get less and less time. So they are going to be very busy. You can send pictures to your recruits, I suggest that they're very clean and appropriate, like pictures of the dog, maybe the Christmas tree, things that you've been doing. If you go to Disney or go to the beach or, go on a hike somewhere, things like that. Make sure they're very appropriate. Things not to send. Do not send care packages. Don't send them. Don't send food. Don't send any kind of gum, unapproved hygiene products, especially for girls. I get asked all the time if they can, we could send makeup and hair gel and all that stuff. You cannot. They can get their hair gel and the stuff that they need at the PX. Do not send it. Don't send electronics. Definitely don't send medication or vitamins or anything like that. It's considered contraband and you don't want to get your recruit in trouble. All right. You can, like I said, send small pictures inside the the letter and things like that. So you just want to be really conscious of what you can and cannot send and keep the letters very upbeat. All right, so there's a couple ways to communicate with your recruit while they're in boot camp. First of all, you're going to get the SDI letter, the senior drill instructor letter, right? It's going to come in about 3 to 4 weeks after your son or daughter leaves for boot camp. And I know that 3 to 4 weeks is going to be a really long 3 to 4 weeks until you start hearing from them. I want you to remember that your son or daughter is exactly where they want to be, doing exactly what they want to be doing, and they are the safest that they will ever be in their military career, no matter what branch they're in. You know where they are, you know exactly what they're doing, especially if you're referring back to the matrix or the calendar, right? And they're eating 3 meals a day, and you know exactly where they are and what they're doing. That I honestly can tell you, having an active duty son, that is the safest part of this entire journey for their kids and for us. So please use these next 13 weeks to get some sleep and to understand that your sons and daughters are safe. All right. Once you get that FDI letter, it's going to have a lot of information on there, what you can and cannot send, their address, graduation information, etc. I totally encourage you to sign up for, and you'll see it right here, is Informed Delivery. That is with the United States Postal Service. It's a free service. It comes to your email and lets you know what you're getting in the mail that day. Is it 100%? No, it is not. I would say 98% accurate. Now, there will be times where it says you have a letter and you don't get it, or it says that you don't have a letter and you get one. It happens because it's not foolproof. But it's a nice way to be like, I'm at work, I'm looking through my email and I see, oh my gosh, I have a letter, and I get excited because then I get home and I'm like, oh, Johnny sent me a letter and now I have something to look forward to. Now, how do I write to my son? You have two choices to write. You can handwrite, which I preferred, or you can use Sandbox. Let's talk about handwriting first. We're going to use a plain envelope, just a regular plain envelope. You can, inside this envelope, you can put another envelope if you fold it up and, fold it up and stick it in here with extra paper and a stamp. And then also, when you handwrite your sons and daughters, you're going to send them a Ziploc bag. And like I said earlier, I like the zipper ones. All right, you're going to fold it up like this, fold it like this, and it fits right inside of here. I can put this in here, the letter I wrote my son, an extra piece of paper for him to write back to anybody he wants or me, an extra envelope, this bag, and I put 2 stamps on here, and then I added some stamps inside the envelope for my son. Now, why do they want this bag? They're going to use this bag to hold all of their letters, okay? Because when the room gets tossed by the DI and stuff, they stay in the bag and they stay safe. Because they've already got a lot of crap to pick up after everything gets tossed around. Now, what not to put on this envelope? Do not put lipstick or perfume or glitter or stickers or anything that will be attention seeking, okay? You do not want to send something to your kid that is going to seek the attention of the DI, meaning large package envelopes and things like that. Try to avoid that. If you do have to send a little bit bigger of a package because they've asked you for, like, say, Moleskine or something like that, then use a very plain envelope, like a white plain envelope. Don't go out getting something fancy. The least amount of attention that we draw to these kids, the better. The other thing that we can do to write to our kids is use Sandbox. Sandbox is an app that we put on our phone, and then we write to our sons and daughters right on there. We can put it on our phone, we can put it on our tablets or our computers. We write it and then we send it. On the app, it shows you the tracking. It gets to the depot in 2 days. Just because it gets there in 2 days does not mean your son and daughter get it in 2 days. They get it when the DI picks up the mail and distributes it, when they choose to distribute it. So just know that, because a lot of people say, well, they didn't get it in 2 days. I understand that. It tracks and it gets to Paris Island or it gets to San Diego in 2 business days. But sometimes your sons and daughters won't get it for 3, 4, 5 days, depending on when the mail is sent out. Inside the app, you will have, once you get that senior drill instructor letter, you can go over to the app, put their information, and it will pull them right up. Then you can start writing them a letter. Inside that letter, you can attach one photo, and then if you want to attach more, you can attach more. You do have to pay for the all the letters that you're going to send. They have package deals. And if you click on the sandbox stuff that I have listed here, it will tell you exactly how much the sandbox letters are and things like that. Now, here's what I want to say. A lot of people get very confused because when we send it on electronics, we remember our sons and daughters don't have phones or tablets. How do they get it? They actually will get an envelope that looks like this, okay? And inside it will be the letter that you wrote, okay? Any kind of pictures that you sent to your son or daughter, a blank piece of paper to write back, and then they'll also get inside, and I'm not going to show you the front because it's got my information on it, but it will have the return address and where it's going. All right. If you want to add postage, it's an extra amount that you have to add. As of August 2025, they no longer supply postage. Okay. So you have to do that. Now, you also can add gift cards. They come in $25, $50, and $100 denominations. They do not expire, and they will be a barcode on the paper. So let your Marine or your recruit know that they not to throw that away because they don't expire, and you can't reload them either. So if you want to send them $25, they can use it at the PX to help buy their hygiene products or things that they need, $50 or $100. If they don't use it at the PX during boot camp, they can use it at the MCX while they're on Liberty after the Crucible, or just when they get to MCT or ITB, or when they get to their permanent duty station out in the field. All right, so if you click on these links that I have right here for you, you will actually understand. There's a video and then there's some explanation for you. All right, so next one is the Crucible. Let's talk about that. When they are earning their EGA or their Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, they have worked their butts off to get to this point, right? They are going into week 10. I want you to remember back a few slides, we talked about how we have the matrix, which is the calendar for San Diego and for Paris Island. If you look on them both, you will notice that San Diego does their Crucible in the beginning of the week and Paris Island does theirs on the end of the week. So just make sure that you have the right matrix or calendars for your kids' boot camp, so you know which days they're going to start. The Crucible is 54 hours. It is a lot of work, but I can promise you, we as parents stress more about it than our sons and daughters. They've worked their butts off to get to this point. They are excited about this. This is going to be like their rite of passage, right? It's almost like when they are young and they get their license and how excited they are because now they're 16 years old and they have a license and they can go off and drive without us, or now they're 18 years old and they're legally an adult, or when they turn 21 they're legally allowed to go into get a drink or something like that. So it's a milestone, right? And it's the same thing. This is a significant milestone in their life. They have worked really hard to get to this point, and it's super exciting. And I can promise, because I was a mom that had a kid at boot camp, this is going to be very exciting for them. They're going to have a very emotional time at the end when they get that EGA. Your sons and daughters will tell you all about their experience. My son tells me it's about the only time that he really got emotional, when he worked his ass off to get to that point, and they handed him that EGA and put it in his hand. He said it was a very emotional time. And a lot of Marines that I've talked to, young and old, have told me the same thing. Now, do they get Liberty? They will get Liberty the Sunday after the Crucible, okay? And if they can call you, it's because their DIs allowed them to have their phones back. It's a privilege, so it's not guaranteed, but most of the time they do get it. They will be allowed to call you as many times as they want if they have their phones back. They can FaceTime you. In fact, if you look at that picture right there with him holding his EGA, that was when he FaceTimed us after on that Sunday of his Liberty, and we screenshot it and put it into a beautiful picture that I absolutely love. And it makes me so proud every time I see it. Anyways, I don't want to get emotional, but that is how the Crucible works in Liberty after that. Now let's talk about Family Day weekend and graduation, because after we have that conversation with them, the time is going to go really fast. All right. So Family Day weekend, most of the time, unless it's a holiday or something that would shift it into the beginning of the week, is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday is usually the day before. In Paris Island, it's for parents to go and do the 2 family briefs, to tour the museum, to do the tour of the island. And in San Diego, it's for you to do your command dinner on Wednesday. All right. Thursday is family day, so each base does their moto run. After that, you'll have Liberty with your sons and daughters. You cannot take them off the island. So just remember that, or off the depot where they are. They have to stay at the boot camp and they have to stay in uniform. So don't take them off because they'll get in a lot of trouble. Can you bring food and coolers and tents and chairs? Yes, you can. They have restaurants on each base, but I suggest bringing food with you if you can do it. If you're traveling on an airplane, you can actually fold up a small soft-sided cooler and bring it with you, and then you can just throw in some things from the local grocery store, or use Shipt or delivery from Walmart or something like that. Have it delivered to your hotel or Airbnb, and then you can go ahead and bring food for your brand new Marine to Family Day. All right, so let's talk about how you're going to find the schedule for each Family Day. Paris Island is going to be on a PI Family app. If you click on the hyperlink I have there, it will show you a video of how the app works. And I have down at the very bottom of the guide, I have links for all of the PI apps, or you just go right into your store, your phone store, and get it, or you can go into the link in my bio, look under Paris Island, and I have it linked on there for both Apple and Android. All right, so San Diego actually has a PDF. You're going to download it. You should get that in your SDI letter, but if you misplace it or something, I do have it right here for you. And I also have it linked in my bio under San Diego, so you can pick it up and open it up anytime. All right. This is a question I get all the time about base access. You must have a real ID. There is ways to get onto Paris Island and San Diego without a real ID. If you click on the Paris Island base access or San Diego base access, it will tell you the documents that you need if you do not have a real ID. Here's what I'm going to say about real IDs. If you're going to go visit your son and daughter when they are stationed somewhere, like my son's base, I'm not going to tell you where it is, but his base, if I want to go see him, I have to have a real ID to get on that base. So just bite the bullet and go get yourself a real ID so you can go visit your son and daughter on their bases. It just makes life so much easier for everybody. The other thing I want to talk about was Family Day weekend. When you get that SDI letter, that is the time to start booking your accommodations, your flights, your Airbnb, your hotel. Now, a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but this is why I say this. You can book these things as long as you have a cancellation policy built in, okay? You can move your flights, you can change your hotel, you can change your Airbnb. And the reason why, especially if your son or daughter is going to boot camp in the summertime, the numbers are large, like very large, and the area books up. So for example, this past summer, it was July. So not only is it summertime, not only is the amount of recruits at Paris Island just enormous, it's also the 4th of July month, right? And people are traveling that aren't just there for Marine boot camp, right? They're there on family vacations and things like that. And the areas book up really fast. I had a parent that waited until phase 3 when they were told by their recruiter to wait till phase 3, and some parents in another group. And then came, phase 3 came and they couldn't find a place to stay. They ended up staying over an hour away from Paris Island. So that's why I'm saying make sure you book your accommodations and your everything you need to book ahead of time with a cancellation policy. I cannot stress that enough because we all know it's real world. Things happen, kids get hurt, they get dropped down, and graduation dates change. So at least you can change your accommodations or your flights for those days. All right, so let's move on to the next one. We've got, I guess I should click on it if we want to move on. Oh, Lord. Okay, so let's talk about graduation. That is going to be on Friday. Let's talk about behavior first when we get to the island. Let's all remember that we need to be on our best behavior, okay? Our best behavior. When we go over there for family day weekend and for graduation, please dress appropriately. Moms and girlfriends and wives, if you are dressed with your boobs hanging out and your butt crack showing, you're not dressed appropriately. Guys, please wear shirts that are not, you can wear t-shirts and be comfortable, but make sure it's appropriate. Make sure there's nothing inappropriate on your shirts. You will be stopped and asked to change your clothes or something like that. Let's not forget, we are representing our children while we are here. So we need to be dressed appropriately and on our best behavior. All right. So when can they leave? After the ceremony, the graduation ceremony, once they are dismissed, they are allowed to leave. And then they are allowed to go home with you on their 10-day leave. So if graduation's on Friday, their leave starts on Saturday. Okay. While you're there, that is a good time to stop at the MCX while you're on base and pick up a few things like extra EGAs because they do get lost when they're traveling. New boots, that's a big one. Danner is a good choice for people. Insoles and the brand Sole is a very good choice. Any kind of badges they might need, like rifle badges, anything extra, backpacks and things like that. My son, we bought him a nice backpack and he uses that all the time when he's traveling, either for the Marines or for personal business. Now, bring a clean set of clothes for your brand new Marine to change into. The clothes that they left to go to boot camp in were put in a plastic bag and they stink. Don't open those up until you get home, right in front of the washing machine, dump it in, and then clean them. Bring clean, fresh clothes for your sons and daughters. They will in most cases, lose some weight while they're there. So, bring some comfortable clothes. If they are going to be wearing pants or jeans, make sure you bring them a belt because they might need it. New Marines or Marines in general do not travel in their uniform unless they're on official Marines business. So you will not have your Marine travel in their uniforms. And that includes traveling to SOI and going to ITB or MCT. They should not be traveling in their uniform. When they get to the airport, they can change into their uniforms before they head to their bases that they are supposed to be reporting to. All right, so we have talked about behavior. Now let's talk about driving the speed limit. A few weeks ago, I had some parents that were on Paris Island and got pulled over and got a ticket. I want you to remember something. Again, I'm going to stress this one more time. Our behavior and what we do is a direct reflection on our new Marines, okay? Remember when our kids were little and their behavior when we would go out would be a direct reflection on how we were as parents and how we were raising our kids and the discipline that we gave them. When our kids were unruly and disrespectful, people would look at us funny, right? As parents. It's the same thing. It's just a role reversal, right? If we are breaking the laws or we're speeding and we're not behaving right, it's our Marine that pays the consequences, not us. Okay. There's disciplinary actions that they will suffer. I had a family that got pulled over at Paris Island. They got a ticket. Their son had to report the ticket. He had to, there was disciplinary action against him. So please be very mindful when you're driving on these bases, what you're doing. Their 10-day leave is approximately 10 days. It's very strict. They need to report to their new place exactly when they're told, right? They have their dates and their times are on their orders, and they'll get that just before they graduate from boot camp. If your son and daughter gets RA, which is recruiter assistance, after their 10-day leave is up, they will report to their recruiter and do exactly what their recruiter has them do. Most of the time, it's like, they're out there recruiting, going into the schools, talking to other kids, telling them exactly what boot camp was like and things like that. If they're eligible for it, they will know straight out of boot camp because it will be already in their orders, okay? Next step, after their 10 days, and if they've had any RA, they are going to go to SOI, which is School of Infantry. Inside the School of Infantry, there's two avenues that they're going to go down. Either they're going to go to ITB if they are infantry, or MCT if they are non-infantry, if they have an MOS that is not infantry. ITB is about 14 weeks, and MCT is 29 days. They are going to be very busy while they are there. At ITB, that's their schoolhouse, so they will have a little bit more freedom as they move on, and as the 14 weeks go on. They'll have weekends off and things like that. MCT, they do not. It's 29 days, and they're cramming in a lot of stuff in 29 days. So your sons and daughters will have their phones when they first get there, and then you're probably not going to hear from them again until the end because they are going to be very busy. They're going to be training, they're going to be out in the field, digging foxholes and all kinds of things. So don't be afraid that if you haven't heard from them while they're there, there's nothing wrong because they're very safe there also, just like they were at boot camp, but they're busy, okay? When they go from MCT, they are going to go straight to their schoolhouse, okay? So whatever their MOS is, they will know where they're going for their MOS school. They leave from MCT straight on a bus, and either a bus to if it's within driving distance, to their schoolhouse base, or they'll get on a flight and fly there. When you send your sons and daughters to ITB for SOI and for MCT, pack a special bag. And my son just used the backpack that we purchased at the MCX when we were at boot camp graduation, with some civilian clothes. And the reason why is because they're not coming home after. They're going straight to the field, or they're going straight to their schoolhouse. So they're going to need some civilian clothes to wear when they get to where they're going. And actually in SOI, they're going to need some civilian clothes also. Or I'm sorry, ITB, they'll need some civilian clothes also. So pack a backpack with some civilian clothes and some things like that. This is what I'm going to say. Pack enough for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, for being able to go to the gym, being able to hang around and things like that when they're not at school. Because after they get there, and depending on how long their schoolhouse is, you can mail a box of things to them that they might need after they've assessed their situation. And I mean, like, how much room they have in their locker for things and stuff like that. And they can also purchase some of the stuff that they need at the MCX on their new base. So that's how that all works. If you guys have questions about that, let me know. This is something that is very near and dear to me. I find it very important, and I see a lot of times, I see things that make me very nervous about OPSEC or operational security. It is important for us as parents to be very aware of operations security. Please see down at the bottom, I have two guides. I have OPSEC guide and OPSEC rules. Both of them are put out by different organizations, and both of them have a lot of good information in there. Be very careful about what you say to people about deployments, about homecomings, their movement in the military, locations of the bases and things that they're going to be, and don't really tell too many people too much about their jobs. I don't really tell anybody what my son does in the military. First of all, it's nobody's business. And if it gets into the wrong hands, it could be detrimental to my son, to his group of people that he works with, or even to us, his family. So we need to keep everybody safe. So if your son or daughter is out on a deployment, a lot of times parents will say, my son's on a fishing trip, my son's on a camping trip, or field trip. You'll hear those words. And here's the thing. If you want to tell people, you can tell your mom and your dad if they're not going to be saying anything. But I'm going to be totally honest. I would just keep that to myself until after they've come back, my son. And then you could, if you feel like you need to post it on like Facebook or whatever, or you could, film the homecoming when you go to meet them when they do get home and, post that up. But here's what happens. If we put that information out and people that don't have good intentions get it, they could put a puzzle piece, that little bit of information that we say, into a bigger picture. And next thing you know, their whole deployment is, pushed back, and then they were supposed to come home last week and now they're not coming home for another 6 months, or they're getting diverted somewhere else to, so be very careful what you are putting out there for information. Let's also talk about long distance communication and holidays. While they're at boot camp, they're going to still continue to train even on the holidays. And I just want to let everybody understand there's ways for us to communicate with our sons and daughters while they are in the Marines or in the military. And we have, like when my brother went to the Air Force, we didn't have video chats. We didn't have any of that kind of stuff. Now we have video chats and things like that. So for example, right, Thanksgiving is coming up and my son can't come home for Thanksgiving. So how do we deal with that as a family? Because we're used to, going over to grandma's house for Thanksgiving. Well, maybe we can have a meal, all right, because grandma's going to make a meal, but then we can have, Johnny or Sue purchase a meal and go to their room or wherever they want to go to eat, and then set up a video chat and put it on the table, and we eat with them that way. There's a lot of ways to get around, right? We've done also, like, let's talk about the holidays, right? We want to open Christmas gifts, or, however you're celebrate the holidays that you celebrate. You can video chat during that and open up gifts at the same time. You just ship your gifts off to them early. We've done that with my son for his birthday too. We have shipped things to him for his birthday. He puts the camera up. We video chat with him. We talk to him about his birthday. We have a little cake for him. He has a little treat for himself, and then he opens gifts. So there's always a way to communicate these things. All right. Let's also talk about deployments one more time. Here's a family guide for you to read about. I want to say this. When our kids are deployed, no news is good news. All right. And I know that's hard to swallow because it was for me, but no news is good news when our kids are deployed or in the military. All right, let's talk about mental health. This is another one that's very important to me. We need to talk about mental health with our kids, and there's a lot of help available to our sons and daughters who are active duty and also when they are veterans. It is essential. It is essential that we as parents and family members keep that line of communication open and we listen when they need to talk. Sometimes when my son calls home, we will ask him, do you want advice? And if he says no, we zip our mouth closed and we just listen. And then sometimes he'll say yes. Other than that, I kind of gauge what my son is saying to me on whether I'm going to say anything or not. All right, so here are some resources for you to get help, or your sons and daughters to get help. Chaplain Lindsay is a great source to look at on TikTok. He has a lot of good information. And I also want to talk about chaplains. There is a chaplain on every single base, and they are available to all of our kids from boot camp all the way through their military career. They're there for everything. And when they go to talk to the chaplain, it is anonymous. It stays between the service member and the chaplain. So please use them. They also can help you, guide you in the right direction for certain things. If they're having a problem with their military service and they don't know what to do about it, they can go to the chaplain. They might not be able to fix it, but they certainly know how to put you in contact or in the right direction for where you need to be. TRICARE. Our sons and daughters have TRICARE. There is the link right there. It says TRICARE Mental Health. If you click on it, it goes right to a source that will help with mental health. Military mental health is another one. That's a great one. And Objective Zero. I want to talk about that. That is an app. It is an app that is created by veterans, and it is created for veterans, for active service duty members, and for their families. It's free. It's anonymous. That is the biggest two things. It is free and it's anonymous. When they use the app, it will hook them up with people that understand exactly what they're going through, because there's all the people that volunteer there are veterans and service members, and they have gone through some sort of issue and they understand whether our kids are there for us. The other thing that I want to talk about, with Objective Zero, first of all, download it on your phone as a parent or a family member and have your active duty service member download it and look at it and get familiar with it. The other one that I want to talk about is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And all of these are, Objective Zero is also 24/7, but 988, it's a lifeline. All they have to do is call on their phone, 988, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And listen, there is nothing so bad in this world that will warrant our sons and daughters to harm themselves in a terrible way. And I just want you as parents to be very vigilant about listening to your sons and daughters, their tones of their voice, how they are acting. Keep that line of communication open all the time and let them know that I don't care what time of the day it is, son, daughter, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock in the morning, you call me, because that is my job. I'm always telling people our jobs as parents have changed. When our sons and daughters were born, we can't be the same parent that an infant needed, that a middle school needed, or a high schooler needed. And we definitely are not the same parents that we were when they were going through those stages that we are as military parents. We have to learn to grow and adjust as our sons and daughters' career grows and adjusts. I've grown so much as a military parent from the time my son was a recruit to the time that he graduated boot camp, and even during his active duty service. My role as a Marine mom has changed so much in the last few years. We have to be willing to grow and change with our kids. So please really talk about that. Like I said, I really want you to change the narrative of goodbye to see you later, because see you later is so permanent. And I want you to know that I'm here on this journey no matter what for you. Here are some important links that I want you to remember you have access to all the time. My link tree has a lot of information on there, from both boot camps, Paris Island and San Diego, to all kinds of other things. My email address is available to you. I have my military TikTok on there, so we talk about all kinds of stuff, and I go live Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have the Paris Island matrices listed in the San Diego one, militaryparents.com, recruitparents.com, graduation dates. Those are updated all the time because that's on marineparent.com. Two big things that I get asked all the time is about Paris Island family banners and San Diego family banners. The links are right there for you. All right. And I really, really want to touch base one more time about OPSEC and our behavior. There was a few things that I've seen on social media that has made me want to talk about this more. Please be very careful who you talk to, who you invite into your live, who you invite into your DMs, who you share information about with your children. Not everybody wants to be your friend. If they're talking to you and you don't understand their language, but they're asking you questions about your kids and you're giving them information, they're not your friends. They're not your friends. You need to put your kids above all of that kind of stuff. Be very careful who you are talking to. It's just, to me, I don't care if somebody gets offended that I don't want to talk to them. If I don't think that they have my kids' best interest at heart or my best interest at heart, I don't talk to them. Be careful what you say online. There's no reason to be swearing, acting like a tough person. There's no reason to be acting foolish, talking about getting wasted, and all of the stuff that I've heard. Punching somebody in the face. Your actions are going to be a direct reflection on your kids. And I can promise this. We had a mom that had come into one of my lives, and she said some things that were really offhanded. She was blocked, so she won't be allowed to come in my lives ever again. But here's the thing. There was officers in there. and they were highly offended. There was a lot of Marine parents in there too, and we were highly offended ourselves. But if that kid ever had an interaction with somebody that saw that, maybe not even so much the ones that were in my life, but maybe somebody that was sitting outside of it, that could be, they could look at that kid differently. And you don't want your actions to make somebody look at your son or daughter differently. And here's the other thing too. I know somebody personally that their parents did stuff and it affected their son's security clearance. So please, 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 please be very mindful of what you're doing as a parent. And, you know, it's so important. These kids have a career and some of them want to make it a lifelong career. And we should not be doing anything that affects that. I understand this is their career, but it's not like they're going to be, my daughter's an accountant and my other daughter's a nurse. My behavior in life isn't going to affect my daughter's being an accountant or my daughter being a nurse. But my behavior could directly affect my son. It could affect his job. It could affect his security clearance. So please, and I say this because I just see way too much of this stuff. Parents just not thinking. And I understand they get caught up in the moment and things like that, and they think it's funny, and it's not. It's really not. So please put your son and daughter's, you know, career above saying some of the things that you say online. All right. So like usual, if you have any comments or questions, put them in the comment section. Email me. Like I said, I provided you my email address. You know, contact me on all the social medias that I'm on. If you go onto my link tree and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a social media tab, and you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. All right. Have a great day.